Welcome to the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. I'm Eric. We have my good friend AJ in a great mood. We have Rudo.
Terrible mood.
Always in a terrible mood. Kidding.
So sullen.
And we have Tiff, right?
Hello.
Our producer
No, don't acknowledge Tiff.
extraordinaire. That's calling
No.
names. That's calling us names right now.
No, Tiff and I are fighting.
Calling HR. That is not right. She is calling us names. Great day today. It's awesome after a victory, right? You lose. I hate to say the word lose 3 in a row because,
Was it
well, I mean,
They got
it was
points in
technically.
2 of those 3 games.
points in
Victory
those 2.
Wednesday?
Yeah, you know, it's just I hate to call those things losses.
Yeah,
When
it's
you're in a
weird to
skills
s-
competition. Why I don't like it.
It's weird to say that they lost 3 in a row, but also they've gotten 4 out of their last 8 points.
That's my point. Yeah. So it's it's fine. Didn't sound too good in the morning yesterday morning with Makar out and Cogliano out and obviously Gabe and Sammy being out. Where's right, exactly your friend 92 and then Sammy being out and then what else? Oh no, Val not feeling good and
Valen couldn't go.
probably was going to be good and next thing you know game time wasn't good.
I'm curious. I know things might have changed quite a bit because the world has changed quite a bit. But when you were playing and you were sick like that, did you just like go in and did he just like feed you an IV bag for like an hour? Or
Yeah, well, there's 2 things, right? Old school is a little different, and we were talking to Tiff and I earlier, bagging on the new school, but
was she being mean to you?
no.
Well, that must be nice.
There was we were so naive and we were so ignorant about injuries and stuff, and
Yeah.
it was more like you didn't want to tell anyone anything, which was 2 parts, right? It's bad for you later on, right? Because it can be, just use concussions, for example. Right?
Oh, totally.
It can be bad for you. Or, but even something as simple as being sick and next thing you know, you're getting everybody else sick. But you're trying to do the right thing because you're trying to be a warrior and you want to go to the rink, don't want to tell anyone. But really you have 103-degree fever and next thing you know, you're getting everybody else sick. So I don't know. It's a little different nowadays. I think they want you to come to the forefront. They want you to be honest right away. They want you to tell them. And one thing that hasn't changed is there's guys that can play with pain. There's guys that can't. And that's okay. That's just, that's not, you're not going to change that. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know if we've ever talked on air about it before, but certainly we've talked about it between ourselves. You do feel like if Cale Makar feels like he's 80%, he tends to pull himself out. He tends to not go.
Sure.
Yeah. And for me, that's a player's decision.
Oh, totally.
100%.
That is not a criticism of Cale Makar. That is just saying
What?
he doesn't want to do it.
Yep.
If he's at 80% and he says no, thank you, it's fine.
But yeah,
for
have no
one-
problem with it.
For one regular season game, it's fine.
Compared to the other side of the lever, where if Andrew Cogliano is 2%, that dude is going.
Yeah.
But there's guys, that's why.
Av timestamp. Cale Makar is a baby.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not just combative with us, apparently. Now,
but
Cale Makar is caught in the crossfire of Tiff's rampage.
you know what I'm saying. So it's a little, but there's some guys that can play with pain. And there's guys that not only that they can't, but their performance is gonna stink. You know what I mean? Like, and you don't want that, right? You don't want that. You want to make sure that if Cogs can play with pain and everything, and then you don't know the difference, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
But if you say to people like, "Oh, I can play with pain," and then you just absolutely like dog shit, you know what I mean? Like it's not fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then you're really a nuisance to your team. So, again, it looked like yesterday was going to be a little bit like of a ham sandwich, and it sure was. You had Tatar that was gonna be a scratch, I think, because he stayed on the ice later at pregame skate. Next thing you know, he's in the lineup. So, obviously all the lines were all different and, which was awesome.
They were unique.
They were unique. And sometimes you have to adapt. And that's the beautiful thing about the Avs these last few years is they've never used anything as an excuse,
Yep.
Even the LA game, we were all saying like, God, these guys are dead tired. You know what I mean? Like they can just, get it through. And then you can see they ran out of gas in the third. But not once did you hear the coaching staff say, oh, we're missing a few guys and we're tired. And,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I thought yesterday was the perfect remedy to get back on the W column. And
so just to follow up on my question.
Yeah.
When you were sick as a player?
Sorry, yes.
Yeah. And when you go into the rink, do they just give you an IV and they just like try to flush it out of your
I think
system
there's so much
quick
more
as
smart
possible?
now. They first of all, they want you to get out of there. I think
Don't infect everybody else.
Learned a lot through COVID, right? You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of learning methods or mechanisms. So, I mean, they want you out of there as quick as possible. And then, then be honest with them. That might send you to the, Rose Hospital or whatever,
Hey, there are mobile IVs now.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. You can call them in.
Yeah, you can. I mean, there's so many things they can do.
Mobile IVs are expensive for me, but when you have a $6 million contract,
yeah. So guys,
you can be like,
yeah, and then I'm sure that's what they did with Val. And next thing you know, he wasn't good enough to.
Yeah.
And we all know when you have a fever, you don't feel right. You don't even want to eat, let alone go play a hockey game and all that stuff. So
too true.
You know what I mean? And then you don't want to drag it and keep going. But it looks like the last few games, there's been something going around the room, and it looks like it.
It's a conversation we have a lot with.
Original props to Megan for that as well, who had that before they left
out. Yeah. And
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say we talk about it all the time. This is one of those things where it's December 5th.
Yeah.
If it's April 20th, that dude is playing for sure.
Oh, that's
yeah. If it's game one of the postseason, you're like, Cale Makar's 80%, and he's like 80% is 100%.
Yeah. No. I got a question though, because Rudo's usually the conductor. You know what I mean? If we have a super chat, do we go to it or do
later?
We usually do it at the end.
I got you. All right, that's fine. Fine. You see, that's why you ask.
Gotta learn on the fly.
Yeah.
But to get back to last night, though, I mean, we can talk a little bit.
That was roughing, by the way.
Yeah, that was roughing.
I learned that last night. What you just did with your hands, that was roughing.
But I'll throw you on the left, my left winger here. What did you think about the penalty there on obviously Olofsson and Dermy there that put them on 5-on-3? What's your take on it?
After going back and watching through it, not only is the Dermy penalty stupid, the Logan O'Connor penalty roughing was also stupid.
Thank you.
Like that one wasn't even a penalty, let alone the McDermott one was far less and wasn't a penalty.
We talk about optics calls a lot.
Yeah.
And I think the LOC
for
one,
sure.
because
he puts them in the headlock. I get it,
because Max Jones was hurt and did not play for the rest of the game.
Nothing to do with LOC really, but
right. But I think because Jones stayed down on the ice, they were like, we've got to call something here.
Yeah.
Like there was just a big hit. LOC like pseudo jumped a guy. And so I think that was an optics call. That was we call it all the time. It's game management. You're trying to keep it from getting out of hand.
And in the moment, I can live with the LOC one. After the fact, I don't love it, but I can live with it.
Yeah.
The Dermy one is ridiculous. That cannot be a penalty in this league. It cannot be.
Yes. My right winger. What do you think?
I agree. At the same time, you do look at McDermott, and what we ended up getting to on the pod last night was kind of where Bednar was too, where it was like, look, he just can't go over there in that situation and start the scrum.
Yeah.
Which you could totally understand. There's nothing going on. The penalty has been called. Everybody's just chilling. And McDermott goes over and he gives the kid a little bit. I mean, he makes contact with him.
He does physically touch him. And that's about the end of what happens.
It's really not a big deal. I know that there were Ducks fans in my mentions last night who were like, if somebody did that to Nathan McKinnon, I was like, yeah, right. Nathan McKinnon would stand up for himself and just do something about it. Like, chances are Nathan McKinnon would take that bait and end up in the box himself. But he's just crazy like that. So, and my frustration ended up being that Leo Carlsson was no wallflower there. He tried.
What?
There's a ref in between them. He's trying to throw a punch.
He conveniently is like, oh, there's a ref between us. All right, I'll paw at you a little bit.
Right. He's like, all right, there's a man between me and this mountain, and so I'm going to try and shout at the mountain. And it was just that, I think that was extra. I said this last night, it was extra salt in the wound when he was the guy who scored.
Yeah.
Because it was like, he's no innocent in this. Like, the way that it starts, it's 100% on McDermott. But after it starts, give me a break. It's a scrum in the NHL. Guys are just mad at each other.
Did anyone find this by the way? Because I still haven't seen
The
an
too many
angle.
men?
Yeah.
I know. I
It's
tried.
too many men.
Is it?
Is
Okay.
it? Oh, so it's not even a makeup?
I went back and
Alright.
looked out. They didn't even have to try. The Ducks are just dumb.
Oh, yeah.
It was 6 dudes.
But anyway, you knew
It was 6 big guys.
they were gonna have a makeup call anyway, right? I mean, if it wasn't that, they were calling something.
We were
I mean,
we were talking about it, that they were going to look for
100%.
something, and the Ducks were just like, here
Yeah.
on a silver platter is a
Yeah.
wonderful call for you to make.
just to get back to that play too, I thought it's a reputation call. Yeah, I mean, like Bednar said after the game. I mean, what's he gonna say? He's like, yeah, I just didn't like Curtis going over there. But you know what? Curtis is a good teammate. He is an honest player. He's never been
Why don't you keep it down over there?
yeah, calling you names. He's never been a guy that's, grabbed the star on the other team, and he's not like that. Curtis McDermott
Yeah.
is a fair player. He's an honest player.
Well, and I really do think that there was a conversation for him to go over there and say, look, kid, you can't go down that easy like that in this
Something
league.
happened, and he goes
Because
there.
Olofsson trips him, but
Yeah.
he goes down super easily there.
But anyway, I mean,
And it takes away from Freddie Olofsson. Can't do that. You're
Oh,
a fourth line guy
Totally. That
in a
penalty
third
was
period
bad.
of a game, and you cannot make that penalty. And it continues because up until that point, I thought Freddie Olofsson had played much better than in recent
Yeah.
games.
It's a struggle.
This continues the theory of like Freddie Olofsson's really struggling, and it's papered over by other things happening around him.
yeah,
People want to talk about Tomas Tatar. I think the Jonathan Drouin conversation is quieted a little bit for a few games here. I tweeted out last night. He has 7 points in his last 13 games.
I would argue it's almost swung the other way with Drouin, to be honest. But
Just with the Drouin thing, it's gotten to the point where, regardless if you're overreacting to it, there's no more of this. Jonathan Drouin should be healthy scratch
for
stuff.
sure.
He needs to be in the lineup.
Yeah.
He's earned that, and he's played his way into that. Tatar is still a work in progress, and where does he fit? And it's looking more and more like this is going to be Vegas Tatar, then Montreal Tatar, which is really big disappointment. And you wonder what's up with that 1.5 million. What did the Avs do? They're not getting their money's worth there right now.
How much longer can they sit on it?
Exactly. How much longer do they continue to let this go? We'll see. But with Fredrik Olofsson, you are saying like fourth line center is like, we talk about, it's hard to find certain positions, hard to find 2Cs. Where are readily available 2Cs just in the NHL? Teams, not just guys that fit your team and fit your style, and fit your salary structure, but are on teams that are willing to give them up. Like, that's a much harder thing to fill. 4C is not. And Fredrik Olofsson, we've talked about this a little more recently, but Fredrik Olofsson, again, with that penalty last night, put his team in a bad position. And it got papered over because of the 5-on-3 and the McDermott's involvement in all of that. But that's a bad penalty for him to be taking. You're a fourth line center. You cannot lose in the defensive zone. You need to not be giving up goals against. You can't be taking penalties.
boom.
And those are like the two mortal sins of fourth line guys in the NHL. You will not continue to be in the lineup. So again, there are bigger problems on the roster right now.
Yeah.
But you are looking at Fredrik Olofsson and saying, if we get these other issues cleared up, this is becoming a problem for them.
Yeah, I get Ben Myers isn't everyone's favorite option, but he's playing pretty well in the AHL right now.
The problem is that he's not Jared Bednar's favorite option.
I get it, but how many more games of weak Fredrik Olofsson can you get before you have to say, look, we got to try this guy?
Well, I mean, yeah, we were talking about that. Was it yesterday or, same thing about Tatar,
Yep.
where at some point, I'm the one that said it yesterday or 2 days ago, it doesn't seem to be a fit. And that doesn't mean the player's a bad player. That doesn't mean that the organization is, not treating him fairly. It's just been a weird fit. It hasn't worked out so far. How long can that, I don't know. For me, it would probably be now. You know what I mean? Before it's too late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still think he can help an NHL team. I still think he's a good NHL player. He's a good person. He's a smart player.
Well, and if you really dig into the video of Tatar, it's not that it's gone so poorly either. It's not like there's been nothing. he has been really snake bit to start the year, and he's had low ice time. The guys like Nathan McKinnon, when he had 2 goals through January or whatever of last season, you know why that turned around? Because he played 22 minutes a night. Also, he's Nathan McKinnon. Tomas Tatar isn't, but when you're playing 9 minutes per game, it's really hard for you to overcome. You get one really good scoring chance in that, and you don't capitalize on it for whatever reason.
You're done, yeah.
It's really hard to overcome that. And he's not a guy, as good as he is defensively, as smart as he is, that's not a guy that's going to find success on a fourth line. He's just not that way. And where you're talking about where the fit ended up weird, where the Avalanche fell into something was with Logan O'Connor next to Miles Wood and Ross Colton. You have a turbocharged third line that you love. You love the way they play the game together. You love the way that they've produced. You know that that's going to be, when you're healthy, that's a line. And you know that you've got some combination of Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen in your top 6. When you're healthy, Nichushkin and Lehkonen are there. Ryan Johansson is somewhere in this mix. He just is. And now Jonathan Drouin has played his way into a job. That doesn't leave a lot of room for Tomas Tatar. And the combinations that they've tried, name one of them that has gone really well for more than maybe a shift or 2.
Yeah.
It's been a problem.
It hasn't been
it's been a problem.
It hasn't been there. And then for me, that's why I go back to it. I don't think he's washed up. He had a great season last year. That's 20 games ago. You know what I mean? This is not 5 years ago. It's 20 games ago. He had a great season on a very good New Jersey double team. Yeah. I mean,
where he was on the second power play unit, which right now it's hard to say that that's a valuable skill because the second power play unit's not getting on the ice during games.
And 4 seconds a night.
He was, he scored a handful of empty net goals to get to that 20 mark. But as much as you can dismiss it and say, they're empty net goals, how many times would you like to wish to have one of those at the end of a game? Every single time. Every time that a team pulls its goaltender, you want to score and say, all right, now we're one more ahead. You're not winning this game.
Literally last night.
Right. And he was on the ice.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's not so he can go out there and score goals and do that. It's because he's a smart player, as you mentioned. He's a smart player. He understands the job. He understands it. We did criticize him a little bit last night for one play that he made with the empty net. But I do think that right now, when you look at this hockey team, the number one thing that you say this isn't working, it's Tomas Tatar. Once again, they continue to make hay on defense. I have no idea. Every year, guys on their defense get hurt. Every year, they end up in a hilarious, undermanned situation. Jack Johnson plays 22 minutes a night. That's completely fine.
No complaints.
Steps into the moment, and you're just like, what? Okay.
But to get back to Tatar, too, ask me how many I got in my career.
How many?
Empty netters. 0. There's a reason. I wasn't.
That's because my man over here earned all of them. No freebies.
I wasn't out there, and there's a reason. So Tomas Tatar, when you're out there, there's 20 guys on a bench, right? You're one of the 6 that usually, again, especially last year, is being asked to get on the ice to protect the lead and to make a smart play. And then, sure, you got the empty netter, awesome, but that's because you're a trusted player, because you're a very smart and very high IQ player. So to close it on Tatar, I don't think he's washed up. I think that, if it doesn't work out here, I'm sure it will work out somewhere else, because it's not like all of a sudden he's out of shape and he's gotten injured and he's just not the same. Right now, he's just fighting it. He's gripping the stick a little bit. If it's not here, could be somewhere else. I think he'll be just fine.
700 NHL games played. You have 7 20-goal seasons. If somebody calls up the Avalanche and they say, hey, what's going on with Tatar? The Avalanche can honestly just say, look, run your checks.
Yeah.
Do your background. Talk to your analytics department. Your analytics department will tell you he hadn't been bad for us. He just been a little snake bit.
Yeah.
Our coach hasn't really found a home for him. It's just been kind of an awkward fit. It hasn't worked as well as we were hoping. But he's still Tomas Tatar. This is still a good hockey player. It just hasn't quite worked. I mean, you're not gonna get a 2nd round pick for him or anything.
No.
Let's not be crazy.
If they would make that trade right now.
Yeah. Do it, because that they're not keeping that 2nd round pick. They hate 2nd round picks. So, I would say in the absence of a deal, you just keep keep at it. Because it does feel like he's pushing on the glass ceiling right now.
Yeah.
He does feel like he's pushing on it right now. Because there have been way too many good chances even in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like a lifetime ago, but the Vasi incredible save on him is like a week ago.
Yep.
So, he's right there. Like he's right there. And he had a odd man rush in LA. He had a chance last night. Like there are chances there. It's just hasn't quite happened. And when he scores the goal, I said this last night, but when he scores the goal, that's the kind of guy that you're going to see it come off of him.
Yeah.
And when he loosens up a little bit, that's a guy who might go on a 4 goals in 5 games kind of run.
Yep.
Just to wrap up last night's game, though, you got 2-3 comments. I'll go first. I'm very critical lately of McKinnon in the sense that, I know he's putting up points. I know that. But Nate's one of the best players in the league. And I haven't seen that the last few games. But last night, I tell you one thing. I saw it. I saw it from the get-go. He was going. He was on pucks. He was hungry. He made people around him better.
Look who he gets his assists to.
He made McDermott.
He has primary assists to Curtis McDermott and Logan O'Connor. If you want to talk about making guys around you better, that's it. So
I thought that he was awesome. I didn't like Mikko's game again. Do I think I like Mikko's leadership a little bit? Being very nice to all. I saw that on the chat earlier, and I noticed that too last game. He was very good to Oscar. You know what I mean? Like just kind of.
Yep.
I saw the same thing that I don't remember where we saw in the chat there a couple months.
Hey, we're getting crushed together.
Yeah.
We're in this together, buddy.
That's okay. But he was there. You know what I mean? Like a Finn to a Swede. You know what I mean? It's nice. It's not always there.
He extended the olive branch.
Yes.
I wonder if he spoke Finnish to him.
We can talk about that later, but Mikko's going to go off tomorrow. Mikko's going to go off tomorrow. So I thought Mac went yesterday. Mikko's going off tomorrow. Love the back end, like we talked about. I thought Josh Manson was a monster. He was awesome. Like you said, Jack Johnson was as good as he can play.
I really don't know how you ask for more from Jack Johnson.
And I'm liking Sam Malinsky. I like when he's out there. I think he's capable of more.
Yeah.
I do believe this is an NHL player. No, I'm just saying, like
he was not great last night, but we have more of a body of work to know that.
Yes.
Hey, if that's the worst that he plays, he's a good player.
He's gonna be fine. Obviously, we can talk about the Bo play that we all know that he was at practice today and whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I think he'll be fine tomorrow.
It sounds encouraging enough, but the Avs. We've also seen the Avs have been very cautious with this over the last couple of years, saying we aren't so desperate for wins. I'm gonna take a side swipe here, and I'm sorry, we're not the Arizona Coyotes. We don't need to try and win every single game so badly that we have to push a guy into a lineup maybe a game sooner.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not against. I was talking to Tiff earlier. It's 3-0 at the time.
Was she being mean to you?
No,
I'm just kidding.
She was.
He talks to me so much because I validate his feelings.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Wow.
But it was 3-0 at the time, right?
I don't like this implication.
Periods. He's like, what? Let's not take a chance. That's the way I see it, and I'm knocking on wood and making sure that everything's good with Bo.
The Avs just won a game missing half their top 4D, 2.5 of them. Bo missed half the game.
Yeah, I mean essentially 3.
We know Kale's close. He'll probably be back, if not in the next game, the game after.
Yeah.
If Bo has to sit out an extra game, who cares?
That's my point. The decision was 3-0 at the time.
Who do they play?
Winnipeg, your team.
It's Winnipeg and then Philly on Saturday.
And then Calgary next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't rush him. It's fine.
So we'll talk about that on the second segment there. So let me see this right here. You guys are gonna laugh at me when I do my Rudo reads here.
Only Rudo does a Rudo read. You do Eric reads.
I do Eric reads, which is really different.
Convince someone that you're talking about balls, so it's not a Rudo read.
Man, I'm glad you weren't around for that.
No.
I had to be on my toes every day.
But the show is brought to you by Bet365, right? At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. Neither do Rudo and AJ. Sometimes Tip does. We don't. We
Tiff
believe
only
that
does ordinary.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We believe that every sport
Validate that, sucker.
should be epic. Every touchdown, every game, every point, every play, from the moment that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Get a better price on chosen markets for select games with Bet365 Boost or Bet365 Super Boost. You can even get in our very own custom bet. Keep an eye out each week for new bets on bet365.com. Ride with DNVR and place your bets using code DNVR365 at sign up. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. So call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Those custom bets are cool. I've won some money on those.
Rudo's been hot this past week.
Yeah, you want to talk about a gambling
right.
problem?
Okay.
Whatever Rudo has right now is the opposite of a gambling problem.
Gambling success.
And for the record, we love Tiff. We're just messing around with Tiff.
I really feel it.
She's the best.
Meh.
We're brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery. So Breck Brew has a beer for any occasion, and there is no better way to watch a game than having some Breck Brew. Breck Brew has been doing it for over 33 years, and it all comes down to their love and passion for making good beer. Check out their Christmas Ale, which has a new recipe this season for just $6 at DNVR Bar. Woo. Head to breckbrew.com and use the beer locator to find it at a local liquor store near you.
Did you guys
Eric?
hear what the beer of the month is?
No, what is it?
It's the Christmas Ale.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sneaky little 7%er there.
It is 7.1%. You can get
Nice.
it when you come for the takeover. It's gonna be fun.
You always say that if you want pizza, you go to Pizza Hut.
That's right.
If you want beer,
You go to Breck Brew.
exactly.
I like it. It's like the slot in front of the net there. That's where you go get your beer. Well, second period of the DNVR
7%?
Avalanche
Yeah.
podcast. What did we say? Oh, what's ahead? What's ahead here? We were just getting ahead there with AJ's Winnipeg Jets, his favorite team.
Why do you guys
his
do this to me?
hometown team. Just loves them secretly.
There's no.
So let's talk a little
secret.
bit. What's coming up? What is this? A five game
Five-game
homestand.
Yep.
So obviously 1-0.
Who's the fifth game? I can't
I
remember.
don't remember either.
Because
Got it right
it
here,
goes
got it right
Winnipeg, Philly, Calgary,
Yep.
and then the fifth game is the one that I always forget.
That's further than a week away. So
Buffalo.
sorry, I can't.
Buffalo.
Oh no,
Buffalo.
we're gonna get Buffalo just when Tage comes back. Very cool.
Didn't Tage come back last night?
And Tuck because he's out for the
Yeah,
next week.
yeah.
So, and now Eric Robinson apparently. So that's a personal affront to me.
AJ's not going to sleep tonight about Eric Robinson. Yes.
He's upset.
I've lost a lot of sleep over my life because of Eric Robinson love.
Well, let's talk a little bit. What's coming up? Obviously, I think it's important. You make hay on your homestand there. They're 9-2 at home. I don't know. It's just so much more simple to play at home than to get on the bird and go and bus. And, like I said at the start of the year, I think it's good for camaraderie. But I also believe that it's huge around Christmas or the holidays to be home too. You know what I mean? And it's kind of nice and it's kind of jovial. Here's my SAT word of the day. It's kind of nice.
Do you have a word of the day?
No, I mean,
You're
I
one of those
used to.
people that has
I
like a
used to.
Google thing, like at a certain
I
time every
used
day.
to when I was
Oh, yeah?
learning English. Yeah, back then.
Did you have a favorite word?
One that stuck to me was lugubrious, which I want to say was one who avoids duty by faking illness. So I kind of remembered it, and I was trying to use it all the time.
There's
Like,
no way that's a real word.
I swear,
No, it definitely is.
I swear. I'm
He
tired.
is-
Why would I know that?
He is correct.
And then I was trying to tell my teachers that. I try to say I am lugubriously, trying to whatever, But it stuck with me. SAT word.
That's why I ask.
SAT word. of the
Everybody
day.
that learns English has one. So
Oh yeah. But hey, But what I'm trying to say here, I think it's important that they make hay. I think it's important that they get a few bodies back a little bit, right? I mean, I don't think they've lost bodies for a long time, like Val or Mac. Sorry, not Mac, but Kale, Cogs. Doesn't seem like, or even Bo.
yeah, I mean, if you get Nichushkin, Cogliano, and Makar back by the Philly game on Saturday.
Yeah.
No.
Your lineup is fine. You're going through a normal amount of injuries at that point.
Yep.
If you add in Byram for the Saturday game, like I'm kind of punting on whatever your lineup is tomorrow. It's become an annual tradition at this point for the Avs to play the Jets
With nobody on their
with a
lineup.
decimated lineup, and then Winnipeg to win that game and for them to overreact to it. It is my favorite thing, except for the losing part. The rest of it is wonderful. The Jets actually look pretty good this year, so you really don't want to give them ground in the division chase.
Yep.
Yeah.
It would be good to drop the hammer on them early and remind them who
owns this division.
Yeah, like who kind of runs shop around here.
Hey, because they were right there. I mean, they're right there.
Yeah,
Right?
and legitimately, that's not a team that is not Vancouver. And to a lesser extent, it's not Vegas. That is not a team that is built up on a lot of unsustainable nonsense. They are built on being good.
Yep.
They've gotten some guys that have overperformed a little bit. Mason Appleton, guy that I've liked for a couple of years.
Oh, I like him too.
Finally kind of coming around. Eric and I like a lot of the same like
Yes.
bottom six guys because we're like, that guy works hard. He hits
Yes.
people a lot. We like that guy.
You're allowed to
true.
like bums. It's fine.
God, name calling.
Is this a double entendre?
Yeah, it's a name calling.
Do you know what that means?
No.
We're just talking about English words.
I know what
No.
that means a lot more than I know what lugubrious means. But
Yeah,
apparently
see,
I know
close.
now.
It's a real word, man.
It is.
But
anyway, I mean, if we want to get back.
The Jets. I mean, that's Kyle Connor is back to scoring goals like he should be. Mark Scheifele has been a much better version of Mark Scheifele than he has been the last couple of years when he's been kind of pouty and kind of feeling sorry for himself and reading a little bit too much of the media criticism of him. This year, he's just playing good hockey. And you wonder how much not having to answer questions about leadership has helped and how much not having to answer questions about, are you going to stay? Are you going to get traded? What's going on? Now he signed. He's committed.
Yeah.
He's stuck in Winnipeg. Enjoy the winters, buddy.
Stuck.
Like, how much does that free a guy up to just be himself and just play hockey? I think you're seeing it with Mark Scheifele. Connor Hellebuck remains good. The biggest thing here with the Jets is that they have unlocked the secret. They've gotten out of their own way defensively. They've figured out Dylan Sandberg is actually good. Logan Stanley actually sucks. Nate Schmidt has had kind of a little bit of a bounce back after looking pretty washed for a number of years in a row. They're playing good team defense. It's not great. It's average.
Yeah.
But that team has always had the kind of offensive talent that if even average defense in front of a goaltender of Connor Hellebuck's caliber, that team is legit. As much as I talked up Arizona last week, the Jets clear them easily.
I agree.
I mean, I named two of their forwards, but like Cole Perfetti is great.
Totally.
Vladislav Nemesnikov and Nito Niederreiter have both fit in there very nicely. That top nine.
Well, they just got Gabe Velarde back last week too.
Yeah,
Like,
and
27's your boy there.
Alex Iafallo, Nick Ehlers, starting to be Nick Ehlers again, which is a big problem for everybody else. And they have also figured out Nick Ehlers playing with Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor. But that's a problem. That's a problem of a top line to handle.
Look, Winnipeg is the type of team that if you took a 7-game series, I'd take the Avs to win, but it wouldn't be in 4. Might not be in 5.
I would 6 would be my.
That's what I'm saying. So that's a team you expect to take some games off you. Don't let it be the first one. Don't let it be in your building.
So tough matchup tomorrow night at Ball Arena. Should be a good one. And then
if
you got
there's
Philly.
no Kale and there's no Bo, then you really are.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to wait. They had an optional today at Ball Arena, right? And a few guys skated, a few guys didn't. I mean, again, you're not going to get much out of a day like today to know who's going to be available tomorrow, especially when you're dealing with sickness and, things like that. So I think we'll have a better idea tomorrow.
I want to ask you guys a quick question. If Cogliano slots back into the lineup because he's the Terminator and I just don't expect him to miss very many games, if he slots back into the lineup, what do you do at forward?
I say Kiviranta.
You're going to play McDermott and Tatar on the fourth line again, or
I mean,
you're gonna play Cogliano.
Obviously, it depends. Like you're probably looking at Cogliano and McDermott on the fourth line, I think. And then Tatar slots in where Kiviranta was, which is like a super loose. He was kind of just taking random shifts with people the other night.
Why don't you calm down over there, Tiff?
No, but if Cogliano's in, I said Kiviranta. And then if Val is good to go, I'd probably say Tatar too.
Really? You keep McDermott in?
Sure. Why not?
I thought Dermy played good. I mean, he did.
This is like what he's for, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's the guy that you put in when things don't go great, and then when you're healthy, you pull him back out.
Oh, yeah.
And you know that's not a guy. That's not a guy whose game is going to go like this. He's Curtis McDermott.
Yep.
And part of his value, and we've talked about this a lot this year, part of his value is he understands.
Yeah.
He's going to be in the lineup some nights. He's going to be out of the lineup other nights. He just is who he is. When you're healthy, you say, hey, we have better options.
100%.
And that's where I'm saying. But what do you do? Oscar Olausson?
No.
You have to keep him at center.
So you're pulling him out?
Yeah. Again, if we're saying just Cogliano's back.
I guess I'm assuming Nichushkin is because he was just sick.
Me too.
Yeah.
So I'm
I
sorry.
think so.
I'll add Nichushkin and Cogliano. Say those two guys are back
You're
in.
probably, I forgot about Olausson a little bit. So it's probably Tatar stays in, Olausson comes back out. But
So Olausson comes out and Kiwi comes out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Olofsson is 24, not 20.
24.
Yeah.
20.
Yeah,
The Avs don't
I
have,
get all confused.
none of these dudes can play
Olofsson.
center. So Olofsson's just
that's
kind
what-
of default in the
that's what I was
lineup.
saying, Yeah. All right. And then you got Saturday. We got Philly. That's had a nice little turnaround. I think Torts has got them going. And they got older guys coming back this year that didn't really play last year. Couturier, Atkinson.
Yeah.
So they're doing a lot better. They're
Kim
doing a lot-
Atkinson. I love that guy.
Yeah, they're doing a lot better.
How are you
And-
that small and that good in the NHL?
Boston College. Anyway,
That was it? That's why he's so
Yeah,
good in the
I'm
NHL?
just-
Boston College prepared him?
Yeah,
Are you allowed to say nice things
No,
about
yeah,
BC?
you gotta hate
I
BC
don't like
now.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, for the next couple of years, aren't you super anti-BC?
Yes, BU. But anyway, so they're doing well. So that's kind of nice, right? And then we talked about Buffalo next week, and then Calgary coming in, and Calgary's just kind of kiff, right? Just win 1, lose 4, win 4.
The Flyers are interesting because Torts has
Done the Torts thing.
he's torched them
Yeah.
up where winning against them is like going to war.
But you
You
still
might
will,
win the
yeah,
game,
but it's
you
gonna
probably
hurt,
will
yeah.
win the game, but it's not going to be fun and it's not going to be easy.
I like Torres, good human being. Just pushes buttons, and he's,
I like him as a head coach too.
I do.
I've always liked. I mean,
I
he's got
like
a timer on him.
Yeah.
Yep.
But for an organization that's trying to turn it around, you look at Montreal
Yeah.
with Martin St. Louis, and you look at Torts, and you're like, which team is in better position? Which team's getting coached up better?
Really?
For my money, it's the Flyers.
Yeah.
And that's no offense to Martin St. Louis, who every time he talks in the press, I'm like, I love this guy.
Yeah, he's-
I love what he has to say
Yeah.
about development
You're right.
and youth.
And then you watch Montreal play a system.
That's my thing, because I was talking to Kay, who's a Canadiens and an Avs fan last night, about Jonathan Drouin. Obviously, she has been very pro Jonathan Drouin, but you knew it was going to take some adjustment for him to come from whatever that is that they do in Montreal to Colorado, where there's a real system and there's real accountability,
Yeah.
and there's not a long leash for you to do things.
Yep.
So, I mean, you look at Ryan Johansson hasn't been healthy scratched. Guy's playing 9 minutes a night.
Yeah.
Supposed to be your 2C coming in. Ross Colton's already usurped him.
Yep.
And it's just like, we thought that might happen in 60 games,
Not 25.
not 25. So
and-
it's interesting, but I specifically with the Flyers coming in, it's like, this is an interesting approach. I'm with the Avalanche kind of at this plum position of they're like consistently a top 7 team in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken more of an interest in the rebuilding teams and their approaches. Anaheim hired a head coach that's a teacher in Cronin. You were talking about this yesterday. He spends a lot of time at the board teaching, teaching, drilling things into guys. Torts is going
to teach you how to work.
He's going to drag the absolute most out of whatever roster he's given. If it's a talented roster, they could go and do something pretty special. If it's not such a talented roster, they're still going to overachieve.
Yeah.
He just can't do it for very long. Players will start tuning him out. The message stops working. You need to move on relatively quickly, and then you have a St. Louis type. I have no idea what kind of head coach Derek Lalonde is. I have no idea.
He's a good teacher too.
I don't
Good
pay
person.
attention to Detroit because it makes me want to light myself on fire.
He's the type of coach that lets DeBrincat shoot 25% for a while. And
Well, we can ask Saturday anyway. We'll talk to Keith Jones, the former Avalanche player, right, in the TNT broadcast last few years, and now president of the Flyers. He's going to be in town there. We'll talk with him Saturday. So that'd be awesome to.
Nice bump.
Yeah. We can ask him about torts.
I'd like to talk to him in our third segment.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I like that. That's coming up.
Yeah.
Coming up here. So
Wow.
we can switch that. What a switch by Rudo. He's my left winger. He's like a righty, but playing on the left side. That's what Rudo is. Our show brought to you by Hestra Job Gloves. Hestra Job Gloves, gloves fit great. I lost them right here. Giving you great. That's the word I'm looking for right here.
Great.
That's the SAT word right here. You know,
Dexterity. Yeah.
dexterity. That's an SAT word for
What's
me
the French
today.
word for dexterity?
I don't know what that means.
It's
So.
like if you have good hands, they're very dexterous.
Like he's got good hands on the point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Dexterous. Yes.
He would say he has
Got
dexterous.
good hands everywhere.
So
So
if
it's not
you're
just on the point.
Giving you some great dexterity to get the job
Just a
done. Just like
talented guy.
AJ on the point back then playing hockey. Don't trash your good ski gloves shoveling or doing outdoor cold labor or changing a flat tire. You need a high quality work glove. Hestra gloves are great for year-round work, like for do-it-yourself projects, DIY. I knew that. See, gardening, construction, landscaping, and any other work where you use your hands. So, if you want to get the job done, a blue-collar guy like you, AJ,
Oh, yeah.
you have those gloves.
I do have those gloves in my car. I am waiting for it to
I have
snow.
them in my car too.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
They're
for the big
super-
first snow.
super
snow,
warm.
Yep. It's going to snow on Friday. So
Visit www.hestrajob.us and use code DNVRJOB to get 30% off your next purchase. And anyone looking to supply their team with high quality work gloves at a bulk rate can email Josh Jacobson at hestrausa.com. So that's Josh at hestrausa.com. Also brought to you by Breckenridge Distillery. Founded in 2008, Breckenridge Distillery is most widely known for their blended bourbon whiskey, a high rye mash American style whiskey. Their Breckenridge bourbon is one of the most highly awarded craft bourbons in the U.S., but Breckenridge Distillery is more than award-winning spirits. You can eat at their award-winning restaurant. Enjoy. By the way, I've been there many times with my youth hockey teams. Great spot for youth sports. It's true. What?
I said,
And great food. Enjoy show-stopping cocktails. Learn about their spirits with an in-depth tasting and get an inside look at their active production facility. Breckenridge Distillery products are available at all 50 states. Shop your local retailer or visit BreckenridgeDistillery.com for home delivery of award-winning Breckenridge spirits. I pray anywhere. Love it. Like I said, great spot, good food, good company. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. We can have a little fun here. We still have about like 15 minutes, so we can.
do we have somebody behind us today?
No, we can go long. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
Wasn't
wish Megan was here to say the line.
yeah.
No
Tiff
parents,
is kind of like a parent.
no parents, no rules. No, today she's an enemy, which is kind of parent-like,
Kinda
I
like a
guess.
parent
Yeah.
can be.
No parents, no rules.
She's truly adopting pod mom status.
She hasn't thrown anything at me yet,
I don't like
so
this.
I mean, she's throwing an awful lot of shade today.
This guy says it's Bill Burr or Norm Macdonald, Canadian Norm Macdonald. I like it.
Bill
Henry.
Burr, angry.
Bill Burr, he's angry. He's a Bostonian, right?
Oh, he's great. I love him.
Oh yeah, he's dry, funny, right? The ball guy. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I know who he is.
His movie on Netflix is pretty funny too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is he a dad or something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think I fell asleep. I mean, not because it was bad, but I was watching with my kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
You funny.
See
Tiff.
what I mean? Just constant shade. At first, it was just me getting it. Tiff's just like,
Tiff's going.
she's gone with the spray and pray today.
When you're on one, you're on one. You gotta.
Didn't say anything.
Tiff's going. I'm kidding. Anyway, what we're talking about here for the third goal, we're just trying to say a little exercise here. If you're not allowed, you must take 2 guys out of the current roster
Oh, God, too.
and replace them with anyone you want around the league. So we're kind of playing GM here a little bit. Obviously, you have to take the cap in consideration. You know, you can't just say, well, I want to add Sidney Crosby and take out, Kiwi Ranta. Well, yeah, it doesn't work. Right?
Yep.
Have a
I would
little
like
fun.
to do that, though. I would like to do that.
Not me. I love Kiwi Ranta's name.
2C problem solved.
So,
We're good. You know what? Not even give you. I'll give you Rijo. It's fine. Sorry, Rijo.
all right. Well, who wants to go first? My right winger or left winger?
I'll go.
Can I also just quickly add, since this Eric Robinson thing has been a running, you know what they got for him?
What?
A conditional 7th.
That is literally nothing.
That's it.
Okay, then.
When you read the word conditional, you're
It's
right.
been-
It's a
I'm
literally
immediately
nothing.
sidetracking us here, but it's been a pretty buyer's market so far this year.
Yes, it has.
A lot of cheap prices for
Which
guys.
makes me wonder if, like, based on a couple of the things that have already happened, Eric Robinson has been in the AHL, so like I get, and there's money on his deal and 2 years left, so I get that. But Zadorov,
I thought that was a cheap return. That's me.
same
I mean, a real cheap.
cheap, man. That's what I'm saying. That's what he's saying with the buyer's market. Like
No, I agree.
that
I agree.
that makes me
Didn't
wonder.
even have
Like
to pay a second for that guy.
like if the Avs were to try and make a Tatar move, it's probably not going to get them any kind of return.
Yep.
But if it frees up money for them to go and do something else, it probably doesn't cost much to do whatever else they would like to do.
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, when somebody's talking about
Flipping
Beauvillier
assets
trade,
might
it
be
was the
hard.
same thing. But again, that
Oh,
was
dude,
all
I completely forgot about
Yeah.
Beauvillier.
Yeah.
For dirt
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I understood he was on their 4th line. He had
Yeah.
he was owed $4 million.
Yeah.
Chicago was willing to eat all of that money, but
Yeah.
like Chicago needs to be taking Anthony Beauvillier level shots.
Have to, and I thought that was the right thing to do.
Totally. And now I'm like, great. I should go pick that guy up in fantasy. He's gonna play next to Connor Bedard eventually. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
But
This
you're
was
right.
I started the sidetrack. This is my fault.
Left winger first.
No, if I can have anyone, and we're not fully living in the world of realism, I'm taking Tomas Tatar out of the lineup, and I'm going to Keith Jones.
This feels like a common
And
thing. Oh God,
I
here we
am
go.
taking Owen Tippett from the Flyers and sticking him on the Colorado Avalanche.
I knew this is where we were headed.
Oh, come on. You know I've always loved Owen Tippett.
I know. That's why as soon as you said Keith Jones, I was like, this is Owen Tippett.
I understand in reality Flyers probably aren't looking to move that guy, but I feel like he would be the perfect fit for the role that Tomas Tatar was supposed to play on this team.
That's a good
Goal
call.
scoring winger.
So you're prioritizing a wing over a center. Just because of the money involved, it's easier to fix.
Yep.
Right now.
Yep. This is the most direct solution that I could come up with. I'm
Okay.
not saying I wouldn't like a center also,
Yeah.
but solving this winger problem is very straightforward to me. That would be my number one. I would go with,
I like that you're not worried about how else we make it work. It's just Tatar out and Owen Tippett in.
yeah. Well, okay. So I had 2 guys for this specific one because
Yeah.
Tippett is like, the dream. If you're not worried too much about how you actually make it work, it's Owen Tippett. If you're looking for someone you could probably do a little bit better job making it work, go back to Nashville. Look at Gus Nyquist.
You son of a...
Am I taking all of your players?
Well, Owen Tippett certainly wasn't one of mine.
I didn't think so.
But Gus Nyquist was a guy that I at least wanted to talk about.
Well, we can talk about him right now then. The thing with Nyquist is he does have an extra year on his deal. So there is another year at 3.15, I think it is. In a perfect world, you love Nashville to retain a little bit on that if he's coming to Colorado.
3.185 because nothing can ever be easy.
Landeskog's old contract.
Oh my God, was
Just
that annoying?
9 random numbers.
How funny would it be if that's how they decided the last digits? They just used a random number generator.
Just to mess with it.
Yeah, and they were just like, is this good? And he's like, I don't know why, but yeah, I'm good with it.
I'll take the extra $62.
Yeah, that sounds good, man.
What's Tippett at?
Tippett's at like $1 million or 1.5 or something, but it's the last year of his RFA deal,
That's
so
all right.
he's
But
about
you-
to get paid a whole lot more.
It's all right.
Hers about to get
Deal with that later.
Yeah, exactly. That's next year's problem. But for Nyquist, another guy I've liked for a while, had wanted the Avs to potentially chase after. Same story as with Tippett. He's a guy that can help you solve your scoring in your middle six. You have an interesting conversation there once Kovalenko gets here, but if we're talking about right now, I would love Gus Nyquist or Owen Tippett on the Avs. I'll let AJ do one of his targets too.
So I'm going to stay in Nashville, but I'm going to move...
Go center here.
Obviously Tatar, but also Prosvetov, and I'm gonna add their money up, and I'm gonna get Kevin Lankinen. Mm-hmm. I don't know why everybody loves that guy.
Good dude backup. Typical.
I am trusting them, and he's not small. I mean,
Sure.
He's not a guy that you would say is really big.
Good
Which
goalie.
the Avs always really see. Everybody loves the guy.
Was
So
great at World Championship. I know it's World Championships, but he was great 3 years ago. Or
Yeah.
4 years ago. Whatever. He was outstanding.
and he's only making $2 million. He's a UFA at the end of the year, but you put him behind the Avalanche defense, and I would say I am much more comfortable with the backup goaltender than I am right now. It's no offense to Prosvetov, but a little offense to Prosvetov, just because the Avs are not in this window of like developing.
They don't have the time to wait and see.
This guy.
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted a development guy, Justus Anonen is right there, dude. He's right there. So I'm combining that money, and I'm saying I'm getting Kevin Lankinen. Realistically, you'd have to do something else. You have to give him a pick or a prospect or whatever to make Nashville happy. But in this exercise and the rules that we were given, we were not building trades. We were building move money out and move money in.
Yep.
That's simple.
So that's where I started was Kevin Lankinen.
Makes sense.
I went a little higher money. I don't know how you do it, but I was exchanging a body for a body, and it's the same price. I was taking Elias Lindholm and taking Ryjo out. It's the same money. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah.
Obviously, it'd have to be picks and but
Draft capital, Sean Barons, and
there's
more.
something. But I love Elias Lindholm. I do believe they're going to move on from him in Calgary. Warrior, two-way player, PPPK. Got to get paid a shit ton of money.
Yeah. There's no
but-
keeping him.
Yeah,
There's no illusions
this
about
is a
keeping
rental.
him.
No, this is a rental.
This is you're bringing him in to do the job that Ryjo was supposed to do, and you're upgrading your 2C. You're not having
And
2C
no offense to
conversations.
Ryjo. I mean, he's been fine for what he's been asked to do, like we talked about.
Right.
It is what, but I'm saying if I can find a way to get Elias Lindholm, and I went higher in the
Mhm.
salary ranges, but that's my guy.
Yeah.
Who's your second guy?
Second guy, I went on the defensive side. You drop out Jack Johnson. Did kind of the same thing I did with the forwards. The younger guy I would love to have if we are living in an imaginary world where teams don't want to keep those guys. Juuso Välimäki out of Arizona.
Yeah.
Would absolutely love to drop him in on the bottom pairing of the Avs. Let him do his thing. Be a super solid piece for you down there. And then hopefully can continue to do stuff for you going forward. The other one I had, so I have two. Everyone already knows the Brendan Dillon thing. I've talked about that a million times. Love him. Would do it in a heartbeat.
Unfortunately, the Jets are too,
I know, they're too
good at this point,
Yeah.
so the dream is dead.
And then the other one that I like is also one that wouldn't really happen because the Leafs desperately need defensemen too.
Yeah.
But Jake McCabe, I think, would be a perfect fit for the Avs bottom pairing. Would do everything that Jack Johnson does, but better.
Teams are always after this guy. I mean, Jake, I swear, like it's every year. And I know he was hurt a couple years ago, whatever it was, but teams are always after him. But to get back to Välimäki, though, I mean, familiar with him in the Calgary days. Here's you. So I think he was a young guy, a man's body, right, for a young kid, and
So
probably
many injuries.
got to the NHL too early, too quick, and then injuries took over. and bad luck there, the knee a couple years in a row, and he was really on a trajectory that was going really, like that. And then, like I always say, when there's a change in coaches, you're going to gain some players, you're going to lose some players. Yuso was one guy that was lost in the shuffle of Daryl Sutter. Daryl was not a fan of his.
Somebody had to be sacrificed for Big Z to be so successful.
But that's somewhere somehow, it kind of all equaled out, and he got lost in the shuffle. And then next thing you know, he was gone, and obviously kind of rebuilt himself back up. And Arizona's done a good job. But that's a good pick by you. He's a better player than people tend to forget that he was a high-end player in the National Hockey League at a very young age. So, who'd you have?
I got a depth forward because you guys know how I love my mediocre depth. It is not.
Okay. So we all went with winger. Well, you went with Lindholm, but that's not really a depth forward. That's a
no.
Yeah, you went with a big old swing there. You used the Shohei bat. No, I plucked Daniel Sprong out of Detroit.
Yeah.
Just purely as put this guy into your middle six somewhere. He's always been a really efficient goal scorer, 5v5. He's continuing to do it, and he costs $2 million.
Dude just wants a team of 12 Ross Coltons. And
you wouldn't win very many games. So I Sprong is one of those guys that when he was a free agent, it was kind of like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like,
why is this taking
he's
so
coming
long?
off a 20-goal season in Seattle, which obviously is an aberration career-wise, but he's right in the prime of his career. But he's so cost efficient. That's exactly what the Avs need to be. That's the point here, is to look for cost efficiency. Certainly in trade assets, Elias Lindholm isn't cost efficient, but at $4.8 million,
his play is cost efficient as hell.
Yeah, as a true 2C, that's way better than that. And yeah. Yeah, he's really good. The other guy, I'm cheating. I'm going with a third guy. But the Islanders are kind of shitty.
Yeah.
They just are.
Sure.
And they're also kind of committed to their roster for a long time. So I'm cheating, and I'm taking one of their younger guys that they've just never found a home for in Oliver Wahlstrom. He's a good shooter, and my hope is that they could teach him to be Andre Burakovsky. The hope is that he could be a second or third line guy that could score goals for you. Right now, I would say not third line guy because you really like that third line when you're healthy. But if you were to have a second line of Alekinen, Raijo, and Wahlstrom, and you actually give Wahlstrom those kinds of minutes, and you give him more opportunity because he's been a little bit buried in New York. They've never really fully trusted him. They play a super defensive style. It's not very fun. Let him kind of play more to his strengths, and I want to see what he does. He's easily the most improving guy that we've talked about so far, but he's kind of the cheap, bigger swing that you might get a really good return on and may not cost a lot based on certainly the market that has developed and just how much he's under $1 million this year, cost efficiency.
I think it's interesting that we're both looking at a lot of efficient goal scorers here as something that you'd like to see the Avs pick up for their middle six. Because when you look at how Colorado is built, you feel really good about that third line. You have a Miles Wood and a Logan O'Connor that do a lot of the more grindy things but aren't going to give you a ton of goals. You have a Jonathan Drouin who's starting to figure it out. As a guy that you're not asking to score goals, you're asking him to set up goals.
Yeah.
So that leaves some spots in the middle six where you're asking for guys to put pucks in the back of the net, similar to what Ross Colton is doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would just quickly, there's a comment in here about the Kovalenko hype. I think our show, I know a lot of our listeners have jumped on he's going to play on your second line or whatever. I think our show has said if he's a bottom six player and he's an effective bottom six player right away,
huge win.
Great. That's great. Because for my money, if he can take Logan O'Connor's spot on that third line and Logan O'Connor goes down and makes your fourth line that much better, it's not that you lose out on Logan O'Connor. It means you play your fourth line more.
you have a 3A and a 3B at that
Because
point.
when Logan O'Connor was on that fourth line next to Frederick Olofsson and Andrew Cogliano, your fourth line was dominating its shifts.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a coincidence. Logan O'Connor gets moved up to your third line. Your third line is very good. If Kovalenko can take that right wing spot on one of those lines, ideally it's your third line right away. But if it has to be your fourth line, fine. That's fine.
Yep.
And he's totally free. He's not going to cost you anything in trade. You drafted him 9 million years ago. It's time. He's developed. He's a beast in the KHL.
Yeah.
Bring him over. He's going to be a bowling ball here.
The one guy you were talking about, Wallstrom, is just a product of USA Hockey and hasn't really unlocked his full potential, right? Another BC boy, Boston College.
Another guy I hated in his draft year.
Yeah, I think
I did not.
You did not.
He's not there yet. He hasn't unlocked it, and maybe a thing like that. And then you got to remember the exercise we're doing. It's not so much, for example, let's use Lindholm for Rigel. First of all, nobody would make a trade Lindholm for Rigel.
Other stuff would have to
I
happen.
know. Just so just chat on
Ken Holland exists. Anything is possible. Okay.
But you know what I'm saying?
Anything is possible.
It's more like we're saying something has to come off the books for something to come in.
Yeah.
So there's my last player. For me, it's, I would move on from Prospetov and get Stolars out of Florida. And
This is a really good idea, too.
I'm not
I
saying
love
it's
this
one
idea,
for one. I'm
too.
saying is it that you put one on waivers and then you give a pick or whatever it is. Is it Thomas Tatar? Is it whatever,
I mean, a Tomas Tatar for Anthony Stolars straight up.
Yeah.
Financially, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
It fits needs for both teams. It gives Tatar a fresh start in Florida early enough in the season that he's not trying to fit it all into 20 games.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Stolars replaces Prosvetov. You put Prosvetov on waivers. He either goes down to the AHL and you feel a lot better about your AHL tandem with Prosvetov and Annunen, or
Someone claims him. And
somebody
the
claims
money's
him,
gone.
and then we talk about Ivan Prosvetov the way we talk about Devin Dubnik's Avalanche tenure.
Yep.
In a remember when kind of capacity.
Yep.
So I love this idea. This
on
is
Florida's
my
side,
favorite
Spencer
idea.
Knight comes up. It takes their backup spot. Super
Exactly.
easy on their
That's
side, too.
at some
And
point he's gonna.
this is where this is my favorite idea, just because it makes so much sense, and it checks all the boxes. You get better, you save a little bit of money. After all the moves that get made, you end up saving about $1 million, maybe a little bit more. What's the downside here?
I don't see one.
The downside is Stolars comes in and
Is not great. Yeah.
totally sucks, and you're still looking for a backup goaltender.
Yeah, but he'd be fine because
Yep.
I'm a genius. Well, our show is brought to you by High Plains Strains.
I'm going to start using that for my justification for whatever. Oliver Wallstrom, I'm a genius.
I'm a
So
genius. High Plains
Sounds
Strains.
like you went to High Plains Strains, if that's how you're
Yes, provides top
Rude.
quality cannabis and a wide variety of
That's why
products.
they call him Rudo.
Check them out for your needs, including infused edibles, high potency concentrate, and some of the best flower in the state. There are 3 High Plains Strains location in Colorado, Log Lane Village, Garden City, and Sedgwick. Is that how we said Sedgwick?
Sedgwick, I think.
Sedgwick. So if you're in northeastern Colorado, they're the dispensary for you. Use code DNVR online or mention DNVR in stores now to get a half ounce for $45, a full ounce for $80. Veritas. Veritas. See, French again. Veritas.
He doesn't like
1
those
ace.
Latin words.
Well, that's right. I asked you last time too. It's the second time for $25 and more. Any last thoughts on, before going to super chats on what's coming up?
I mean, I like the idea of, I think deadline stuff is too early, but I do think that you are starting to have the conversation. Ryan Johansson, especially, like, he scored a bunch of goals in that one stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I don't think it's urgent especially if that production starts to pick up elsewhere, starts picking up a handful of points. You're like, okay, this is okay, but he's not an expiring guy. You
There's
have him for another
year.
year.
Yeah.
No, I
So
know.
my question would be, how comfortable are the Avalanche with that? I know Tomas Tatar, like, I think that's a small problem.
That is a small problem.
And I think it works itself out. Either the Avalanche find a taker and they move him for a draft pick and they use that draft pick somewhere else in trade, or they move him in a Stellars type deal.
Yeah.
Where they get better at a position and they save a little bit of money and you feel fine with it. I don't know what to do about Ryan Johansson.
Well, the reason everyone's talking about Tatar is because that's an easy problem to solve.
Yeah, the guy has 0 goals.
Yeah.
It's easy to identify.
And not only that, it's easy to move him out, move something in. When
Yeah.
you're talking about moving out a guy with an extra year in Ryjo at $4 million,
Yeah.
when you're talking about trying to solve a 2C spot, you're either YOLOing and being like, well, maybe Ross Colton can do it, or
Yeah.
you're putting together a blockbuster like someone like Lindholm is.
I mean,
coming.
how much better do you feel about Nathan McKinnon, Elias Lindholm, Ross Colton going into a best of 7?
Yeah.
How much better do you feel about that versus Nathan McKinnon, Ross Colton, maybe Ryan Johansson, maybe somebody else, and then again 4C is whatever.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Big difference for
that's
sure. Yeah.
C-Mac's not worried about the regular season.
Right.
Ryan Johansson gets you through 82 games just fine.
Mhm.
The Avalanche are in first place in the division right now. They're in first place. And Tomas Tatar has 0 goals. Ryan Johansson has 1 assist. Like, it's not that the offseason moves haven't worked. It's just that they've only worked in extremes and in short bursts.
The one thing I would say with the Ryan Johansson situation, with Tatar, it's a lot of, we don't really know where he fits in our lineup.
Yeah.
With Ryjo, it's, does he make more sense? Does he fit better with a healthy Arturi Lehkonen in the top 6?
Yeah, that's right.
Are there other pieces that would make this work that the Avs unfortunately haven't had enough time to really sort through because of injuries, because of guys popping in and out of the lineup, because they had to figure out what they were doing with the Jonathan Drouin?
Why won't Jared Bednar just play Mikko Rantanen with him?
Preacher to the choir here, man.
Ryjo. With Ryan Johansson.
Sorry,
Yeah. No Mikko and Ryan Johansson. They've hardly played any time at all together.
Yep.
What am I missing?
I don't know. I'm with you. I would split them up for a bit. I mean, I would. So, like last night.
Yeah, and like
even when there's bodies,
put those guys together. I don't care if it's Oscar Olaus. I don't care if it's Riley Tufte on the other side. Put those guys together and see if they can work a little bit. You have a guy that wants to defer all the time with a guy that should be trying to shoot all the time.
Yep.
I'm just baffled at the insistence of like, we're not doing this. Shut up, AJ.
Shut up, AJ. Well, speaking of shut up, we can go to the super chats so AJ stops babbling.
Fair enough.
Love it. $10 from Sean says, "Hey boys, I will be making my first pilgrimage. Did I say it right? To the bar and the DNVR takeover this Saturday.
Woo.
Do you have any pro
Strats
for parking in the rear? Can't wait to see you all." Well, you guys are the veterans here. You can answer that one.
It's the one thing unfortunate about the bar. Parking is not great.
Yeah, best of luck.
Yep. If you get here early, there is parking in the back of the bar. Otherwise, you kind of just have to wing it. You can get street parking, which is free on weekends around the bar. All of the meters are shut off, so you don't have to pay. Some people like to park at the bank. Some people will go over, park behind the T-Mobile that's next to us.
There's a paid lot as well if
Yep.
you're looking for something that you're like, oh, I think this is safer or more comfortable. And it's not very expensive. I've paid for it a few times over the years, and it's pretty negligible.
Yep.
All right. Well, see you there, Sean. And then we have Flats Super Chat,
Yep.
$65. Thank you,
Swedish
Flats.
bucks.
Love it.
Swedish kroner.
Swedish krona,
Forsberg
$65.
dollars.
Forsberg dollars.
I like Fopa bucks.
Fopa bucks.
bucks. There you go.
2 questions for Biggie. What does good leadership mean? And do the Avs have enough of it without Landy? Cheers from Sweden. Skål. That's what they say in Sweden. Skål. No, I do believe, first of all, we're all big Landy fans here. So we've talked about this. I'm listen, you can never have enough leadership, right? You know what I mean? So do they have enough? Yes. I think that the guys have learned a lot through the championship run 2 years ago. I think they learned a lot about themselves last year, losing Landy and having all those injuries and having guys step up. And you got to remember, again, it's the old cliche. You don't need a letter to be a leader on the team like that. Colorado doesn't have a letter. He's a leader. I mean, I can name so many guys over the years. So for me, there is enough. I think they can overcome it. But we all wish that at some point Landeskog makes his way back. That would be awesome.
It would help in so many ways, man.
In so many ways. And, skull to Landy, and which means cheers in Swedish. I know my Swedish words from my days with Forsberg. Yeah, I mean, that was it's a great question. And, what was there? 2 questions. What does good leadership mean? Okay, yeah, good leadership mean? It means that, you're able to overcome things, for me, as a group, through adversity, not when things are rosy and everyone's winning and scoring. It's when the boat rocks a little bit. I think that's where you see the true colors of players and leadership and staff and front office, is through adversity. It's not when things are rosy. So that's, for me, is a good sign here. And I think they have great leadership in Bednar and his coaching staff, because it's never an excuse when there's injuries and stuff like that. I think that C-Mac and Joe and company are outstanding with the way they go through things, whether it's crisis or, like I said, through adversity, or when things are going well. And I think the players, like we just talked about, I've learned to deal with it. You can't be a crybaby. You can't be like a emotional teenager, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what it is, right? As a group, you learn how to lose, you learn how to win, you learn how to do all that. So it comes with leadership, and that's what good leadership means.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it right. Good leadership is you are a group.
That's right.
You have buy-in from everyone on the team. And obviously leadership comes from a lot of places, but when you have the whole team saying after losses, hey, we didn't do good enough, you don't have anyone saying, like, oh, I got mine, I don't care about y'all. That's where I see good leadership.
And when you talk about the organization as a whole, good leadership isn't just what happens in the room.
Yeah, that's right.
You look at the adversity that the Avalanche faced earlier this year. They got shut out in 3 games. They got blown out embarrassingly twice in 7 days. Mm-hmm. They lost 5 of 7. Like, that was look at how the Avalanche handled that. And hate to bag on them. I don't hate it. It's fine. You look at how Edmonton as an organization handled their really glacially slow start.
They fell apart.
Well, and you look at the press conference that they had when they fired Jay Woodcroft, where you have your general manager.
No, we didn't talk to the players. Yeah, we always ask the players.
And their president immediately contradict each other. Yeah. Like, they couldn't even get on the same page for 5 minutes.
Yep.
And their whole thing has just been, Leon and Connor will save us. Leon and Connor got this. That's it.
Tough out here.
And the Avalanche haven't done that. The Avalanche approach adversity with a certain level of maturity that you see. There's a reason they won a Stanley Cup. You think that winning a Stanley Cup was easy? People talk about that. 16. They went 16-4. What did they went like 6-1 or something in overtime games?
Yeah, it was outrageous.
Like, they were a thin margin away from that run being much more complicated and stressful than it was, or it ending early.
Yep.
Replacing that leadership, it is hard. Replacing Darren Helm, it is hard.
Yeah.
Replacing Nazem Kadri, it is hard. Finding 2C in the NHL is very difficult to do.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of teams that have 2Cs that are playing as 1Cs because they just don't have better options. Finding a true blue 2C, it's a hard thing to do. It's not as hard as finding a franchise center or franchise defenseman or franchise goalie. But finding one of those, it's very hard to do. Finding the Devon Taves of forwards is very hard to do. And when you look at the leadership of the organization and you worry about how do you replace Darren Helm, how do you replace Eric Johnson, there's a reason Jack Johnson is here, right? It's not entirely about what he does on the ice. They value who he is as a person. We saw him on the cup run. Did he play very much? No. Did he handle it just fine? Yes. Do we know what Caleb Jones is going to do if they're in the third round of a playoff series and he gets stuck on a long shift against Connor McDavid in the conference final? Or more likely at this point, Jack Eichel and Mark Stone? Do we have any idea what Caleb Jones is going to do?
No.
The guy could completely wilt. We have no idea. And that's why teams value experience. And that's where leadership is built through experience. And that's why teams love it. We know what we're getting with this guy. And you look at the Avalanche as an organization, of course they would benefit from Gabe Landeskog. Of course they would. But replacing those kinds of guys, it's hard to do because there's just not many of them, and they're all in demand.
Yep.
All of them. So it's a tough thing to do, and the Avalanche have work to do. They're in first place in their division right now, and we're talking about they've got work to do. It's a good place to be in life.
Yep. And they got 4 games coming up at home here, and then we'll be right on top of it. Tomorrow we'll be back with regular game at 7, right? So pregame around 6:30. Is there a watch along tomorrow? I'm not too sure.
Never know with the Nuggets schedule.
No watch
There should be.
Oh, there is. Oh, I'm sorry.
I think I checked their schedules. I think next week is the first.
When they were back on again.
Yeah, next Monday or Tuesday or whatever, whenever the Nuggets are in Atlanta, I think is the next time that there's a crossover.
Drop us a like. Follow us on DNVR Avalanche. Follow Rudo. Follow Megan and AJ with their writing stuff, which is awesome. Always good stuff like Studs and Duds. And do we call it Angley's Angle yet? Or but whatever.
That's
unofficial.
Unofficial.
We call it that.
All right, unofficial. But once again, follow us, and looking forward to, if you haven't signed up yet, Saturday, DNVR Takeover Avalanche. Come and have some fun with us, right? Come and get some beers, some $25 Snarf card. Come watch the game. Come and hang out with my wingers.
$80 to be with the Vibe Tribe.
Yeah, $80.
Nice.
And it's fun, and maybe you'll see Rudo take his shirt off at Ball Arena. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen, but sure is a fun time. Few tickets left available, so get on it and join us Saturday for a fun game against Philly. It's always fun to play against Philly. Hopefully there's a few Philly fans in the building, and
there always are.
Go at it with them. It'd be awesome.
I'm sure Susie's hanging around somewhere.
Yeah, Susie's around. All right. Well, anyway, good job today. Fun. Thanks for chatting along with us, and we will see you tomorrow for another awesome day of hockey here in Colorado and Avalanche land. See you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.